Timberlake's attorneys in the village of Sag Harbor reached an agreement to release the video with redactions, but we don't know when.
For 20 years, one man convinced the entire world he was the good guy. He had the hits, the charm, the perfect image, and every time something threatened to crack it, he walked away untouched. Then one night, on a quiet street, with a camera rolling and nobody famous enough to care who he was, the whole carefully constructed story began to fall apart in real time. The footage they did not want you to see. In March 2026, a video was released that Justin Timberlake and his legal team had fought desperately to suppress. Not a leaked tape, not a secret recording, just raw police body cam footage from a traffic stop in Sag Harbor, New York that took place on June 18, 2024. The footage was partially redacted, negotiated between his lawyers and prosecutors before release, and yet it still became one of the most talked about celebrity moments of the year. Here is what that footage actually shows. At 12:37 in the morning, a rookie officer named Michael Arkinson pulled over a 2025 gray BMW after watching it blow through a stop sign and drift into oncoming traffic. The driver had bloodshot eyes, smelled of alcohol, spoke slowly, and could barely stand steady. That driver was Justin Timberlake. When the officer asked him what he was doing in town, Timberlake paused for what felt like an eternity. Then he said, "I'm on a world tour." The officer, who by most accounts had no idea who he was dealing with, simply asked, "Doing what?" Timberlake replied, It's hard to explain. A world tour. I'm Justin Timberlake." The officer's response was completely flat. "You are Justin Timberlake? Do you have a license with you?" That exchange immediately went viral because it captured something that no publicist, no PR strategy, and no carefully worded apology could manufacture or undo. Here was a man who had spent decades being told he was the most important person in every room, standing on the side of a road at midnight, trying to invoke his own name like a magic spell, and watching it do absolutely nothing. His friend, who had been driving ahead, arrived on the scene and tried a different approach. She pleaded with officers, invoking song titles. She referenced "Bye, Bye, Bye" and "Sexy Back." She begged them to do her one favor. The officers were not moved. Timberlake was handcuffed, taken to the station, placed in a cell, and told he would be there all night. His response? "I'm going to be here all night? You guys are wild, man." He refused a breathalyzer 3 separate times over 40 minutes. His lawyers would later argue he was not intoxicated and should never have been arrested. The court would disagree. In September 2024, Timberlake pleaded guilty to a reduced charge of driving while ability impaired, paid a $500 fine plus surcharges, completed 25 hours of community service, and had his license suspended for 90 days. Outside the courthouse, he told cameras that even one drink is too many before getting behind the wheel. Inside that courtroom, the most embarrassing chapter of his public life had quietly closed. Then, in March 2026, his legal team lost the fight to keep the footage private, and every embarrassing detail reopened all over again. What makes this story so much bigger than a traffic stop is what it reveals about who Justin Timberlake has become and how the world sees him now. The album that told you everything was fine. Before the arrest, before the footage, before any of it, Justin Timberlake announced his return to music with the kind of confidence that made you think he had not been paying attention to the last few years of public conversation about him. In January 2024, he appeared on The Tonight Show to announce a new album and a world tour. He told Apple Music's Zane Lowe, "I think every artist probably says this, but it is my best work." He described the album as his most honest, most direct record yet. Producer Timbaland, his longtime collaborator, called it "Fun Justin" and compared it to Future Sex Love Sounds, the 2006 album, widely considered his masterpiece. Everything about the rollout was designed to signal that Justin Timberlake was back, fully himself, and ready to reclaim his throne. The album, titled Everything I Thought It Was, released on March 15, 2024, ran 18 tracks and 77 minutes long. The lead single, Selfish, debuted at number 19 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was respectable. The reviews were not. Rolling Stone said the album failed the test during its very first song. Pitchfork gave it a 4.9 out of 10 and called it risk-averse and powered by waning charisma. Slant Magazine wrote that listening to it felt like plugging your headphones into a giant gray styrofoam block. Consequence of Sound gave it a 4.2 and observed that Timberlake has a rare ability to work with the best hitmakers in the world and still produce something that feels dead on arrival. The album earned a Metacritic score of just 51 out of 100. The commercial numbers hit even harder. Everything I Thought It Was debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 with 67,000 first-week units. To understand what that means, his 2013 album, The 2020 Experience, moved 968,000 copies in its first week. The new album fell off the Billboard 200 entirely after just 4 weeks. On release day, not a single song from it appeared in Spotify's global top 200. The Forget Tomorrow World Tour, however, told a more complicated story. Despite the album's failure, the tour sold over 1 million tickets and was on track to gross more than $250 million across 85-plus shows. Fans were still showing up. They wanted the old songs. They wanted Sexy Back and Cry Me a River and What Goes Around. What they got, particularly during the 2025 European Festival extension leg, became a different kind of viral moment entirely. TikTok clips began circulating of Timberlake pointing the microphone directly at audiences, letting entire songs pass without singing a single word himself. One clip from Romania, captioned "Go, Girl, Give Us Nothing," reached 5.4 million views. Another clip, captioned "Imagine paying $500 for this type of energy," surpassed 20 million views. Fans started calling it the Justin Timberlake Karaoke Tour. The comment sections were not kind. He also canceled shows repeatedly. Back injury, bronchitis, laryngitis. 5 dates canceled in late October 2024 alone. Then, on July 31st, 2025, the day after his final Istanbul performance, Timberlake revealed on Instagram that he had been quietly battling Lyme disease through the entire tour. "Living with this can be relentlessly debilitating, both mentally and physically," he wrote. He said he had faced the choice of stopping entirely or figuring out how to keep going. He chose to keep going. Not everyone felt the diagnosis excused the performances they had paid to see. The tour ended. The album is already forgotten, and the conversation about who Justin Timberlake really is had already moved somewhere far more uncomfortable than album reviews. The book that blew everything up. In October 2023, months before the album even dropped, Britney Spears published her memoir. It was titled The Woman in Me. It sold 1.1 million copies in its first week and debuted at number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list. As of late 2025, it has sold over 4 million copies globally. A film adaptation is currently in development, and it contained details about Justin Timberlake that rewrote everything the public thought they knew about their relationship. Spears revealed that she had become pregnant with Timberlake's child during their relationship. She wrote that if the choice had been entirely hers, she would have kept the baby. Timberlake, she said, did not feel they were ready. She described undergoing an at-home abortion, taking medication and experiencing hours of agonizing pain on the bathroom floor. She wrote that he lay on the floor with her during this and tried to play guitar, thinking music would help. She described it as one of the most agonizing experiences of her life. She alleged that Timberlake cheated on her multiple times. She described him ending their relationship by text message while she was filming a music video. She wrote that she could barely speak for months afterwards. Timberlake never issued a public response to any of it. His Instagram comments were disabled. Through unnamed sources, his position was reported as focusing on his family and not engaging with the memoir. Jessica Biel, his wife, was reported to have already known about the pregnancy. Sources close to the couple said she felt Justin deserved to live in peace. Then, weeks later, at a small concert in New York City, Timberlake told the audience, "I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to absolutely nobody." The crowd cheered. Online, it went over very differently. And here is the twist that nobody saw coming. Britney herself had actually posted an Instagram apology just days before that concert, saying she was sorry for some of what she had written. She even praised his new single. Then she heard what he said on that stage. Her follow-up post was significantly less conciliatory. She said she was not sorry and told him to take it to court. Then something remarkable happened. Britney fans pushed her 2011 song, also titled Selfish, ahead of his brand new single of the same name on the iTunes charts. Justin Timberlake's comeback single was beaten by a 14-year-old Britney Spears song in a fan-organized chart battle. That is the kind of detail that is hard to spin. To understand where Justin Timberlake is in 2026, you have to go back to February 1st, 2004. Super Bowl Sunday. 143 million people are watching the halftime show. The night that destroyed two careers unequally. During the final moments of his performance with Janet Jackson, Timberlake reached across, grabbed her costume, and tore away a piece of it. Her right breast was exposed on live television for less than a second. Timberlake used a phrase that has lived in pop culture ever since. He called it a wardrobe malfunction. He said it was not intentional. He said it was regrettable. Then, he went to the Grammy Awards the following week, accepted 2 awards, and watched his career continue without disruption. Janet Jackson was not invited to the Grammys. She was blacklisted from all Viacom properties, including MTV, VH1, and CBS. Clear Channel radio stations, which controlled over 1,200 outlets, reportedly pulled her music from the airwaves. Her album, Damita Jo, which was released weeks after the incident, became her lowest-selling record since 1984. A movie deal to play Lena Horne collapsed. A Disney World statue featuring her was removed. The FCC received over 540,000 complaints and fined CBS $550,000, which was later overturned by the Supreme Court. The reason the fallout hit Jackson so much harder has been documented extensively. CBS CEO Les Moonves took the incident personally. Internal reports revealed he was obsessed with punishing Jackson and reportedly asked executives how she could be made to pay CBS's own FCC fines. Former FCC Chairman Michael Powell admitted years later that he essentially had to perform outrage for the public and acknowledged that Jackson's treatment was genuinely unfair. Timberlake himself admitted in a 2006 MTV interview that he probably received about 10% of the blame. He said America is harsher on women and unfairly harsh on ethnic people. He acknowledged the inequity plainly, which made his continued silence on the matter for the following 15 years even harder to defend. In his February 2021 Instagram apology, Timberlake wrote that he had benefited from a system that condones misogyny and racism, and that men, especially white men, are set up for success. He said he specifically wanted to apologize to both Britney Spears and Janet Jackson. He said he knew he had failed them. His wife commented with a heart emoji. Many people noted it came 2 decades too late, and only after public pressure forced it. Jackson, for her part, told her own story in her 2022 Lifetime documentary. She revealed that she and Timberlake are still good friends and speak regularly. She disclosed that, in the immediate aftermath of the Super Bowl, Timberlake called, asking whether he should make a public statement. She told him not to, saying everything was already being aimed at her and she did not want more drama. She protected him. He let her. The marriage holding on. While all of this played out publicly, Jessica Biel has been the constant. She married Timberlake in October 2012 at a resort in Italy in front of about 100 guests. They have 2 sons together, Silas, born in 2015, and Phineas, born during COVID in 2020 and kept entirely secret until Timberlake casually mentioned him on The Ellen Show in January 2021. Biel has been photographed at multiple tour concerts, stood next to him at red carpets through every controversy, and spoken warmly about their relationship, even when tabloids were publishing remarkably bleak insider accounts. Sources reportedly close to the couple have described their marriage as hanging by a thread, as struggling under years of strain, and as a situation where her friends have urged her to leave. Other sources describe them as solid, committed, and deeply private. The truth of any marriage is inaccessible to outsiders. What is accessible is the pattern. In 2019, Timberlake was photographed holding hands with his Palmer co-star Alicia Wainwright at a bar in New Orleans while visibly intoxicated and while Biel was pregnant, though that pregnancy was not yet public. He posted an Instagram apology shortly after. He said it was a lapse in judgment. He said nothing happened. He said he should have known better. After the memoir dropped and the abortion details became public, Biel reportedly already knew about it. She did not issue a statement. Her comments section flooded with anger from Britney fans. Disabled comments too. After the body cam footage dropped in March 2026, sources told people that Biel was not happy about the renewed attention, that she was supportive, but not afraid to say when she was disappointed. At the Critics' Choice Awards in January 2026, just 2 months before the footage released, she told reporters on the red carpet that there was simply no one like him as a performer. She said she adored him. She said she loved him. Then comes the angle that ties all of this together. Justin Timberlake's story is not really a story about one bad night, or one bad album, or one bad public statement. It is a story about what happens to a man who spent his entire career being insulated from consequences, and what happens when that insulation finally stops working.
What privilege looks like when it runs out.
He took Janet Jackson's costume and walked away with multiple Grammy wins. He told the world his relationship with Britney Spears ended because she was unfaithful. Released a music video framing her as the villain, discussed their intimate life openly in interviews, and watched her reputation disintegrate while his only grew. He gave a public apology in 2021, and then retracted its spirit 3 years later on a concert stage. He got arrested on a public road in a Hamptons enclave, tried to invoke his celebrity to navigate the situation, and then spent months and considerable legal resources trying to make sure no one ever saw those 9 minutes of body cam footage. The attempt to suppress the footage is, in many ways, the most revealing part of the entire story. His legal team argued its release would cause severe and irreparable impact to his reputation. A judge reviewed that argument and lifted the restraining order anyway, because what the footage actually showed was not uniquely damning. It showed a man who was drunk, disoriented, and counting on his name to open a door that it could not open. That is not a crime. That is a personality. And the public, having watched this same personality across 2 decades, finally had the receipt in their hands. What comes next, and why it might not be enough? In early 2026, reports began circulating that Timberlake is in conversations with MGM and Live Nation about a Las Vegas residency at the Dolby Live Theater, potentially beginning in 2028. There are also ongoing discussions about what some insiders are calling an inevitable NSYNC reunion. The reasoning being that collective nostalgia might accomplish what solo credibility no longer can. The world is watching now. It has been watching for 5 years. And the footage they finally got to see in March 2026 did not surprise a single person who had been paying attention. Whether Justin Timberlake rebuilds from here or not, one thing is certain. The era of consequence-free celebrity that carried him for 2 decades is over. Not just for him, for all of them. The cameras are always rolling, the archives are permanent, and the public has decided it is no longer willing to look away. And somewhere in a Sag Harbor cell, a man who once told the world he had nothing to apologize for was asking if he could please keep the light on. That is everything happening right now with Justin Timberlake. Whether you think he deserves another chance or think the reckoning is long overdue, one thing is for sure. This story is far from over. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because we genuinely want to know where you stand on this one.